Since 2007, the NSA has been accessing the data from household names like Google, Facebook, and Apple to trawl the internet for anything suspicious that could point to a terrorist threat.
Now, what stands out about that year 2007? Anything else stand out about the year 2007? Oh, yeah, that was the year that then Senator Barack Obama was candidate for president. And then in 2007, Senator Barack Obama, running for president of the United States, not already in the position, could say things like this, and how what a stark contrast this was to some of the rhetoric we heard from the president today.
This administration also puts forward a false choice between the liberties we cherish and the security we provide. I will provide our intelligence and law enforcement agencies with the tools they need to track and take out the terrorists without undermining our Constitution and our freedom. That means no more illegal wiretapping of American citizens. No more national security letters to spy on citizens who are not suspected of a crime. No more tracking citizens who do nothing more than protest a misguided war. No more ignoring the law when it is inconvenient. That is not who we are. And it's not what is necessary to defeat the terrorists. The FISA court works. The separation of powers works. Our Constitution works. We will again set an example for the world that the law is not subject to the whims of stubborn rulers and that justice is not arbitrary. This administration acts like violating civil liberties is the way to enhance our security. It is not. There are no shortcuts to protecting America.
Wow, no wonder he got elected, and no wonder some of us believed him, and no wonder some of us donated to him, right?
That's some campaign for him. I got the T-shirt to prove it. But
that's a hell of a speech, man. If I heard that today, man, I'd be like, hell yeah, you got my vote. Is Julian Assange today on Edward Snowden?
Edward Snowden, when he's given his interview to The Guardian, has said that he can't allow the US government to destroy privacy, internet freedom and basic liberties, and his sole motive is to inform the public. Those are the words of Edward Snowden. What's your view of him and his motives?
Well, Edward Snowden is a hero who has informed the public about one of the most serious events of the decade, which is the creeping formulation of a mass surveillance state that has now co-opted the courts, corrupted the courts in the United States, made them secret, made them produce orders which violate US constitutional protections to nearly the entire population. And then if that wasn't enough, has embroiled the US high-tech companies like Google, Yahoo, Skype, Facebook, etc., to extend that surveillance all across the world. The amount of collections from the United States alone revealed to be more than 2.4 billion in the month of March alone. And that is something that I and John Perry Barlow and many other journalists and civil libertarians have been campaigning on for a long time. So it's very pleasing to see such clear and concrete proof presented to the public. Yes, absolutely. And so then the president has this to say, and normally in any other circumstance I would really cut up this clip, not to take out any substance of what is said, but to tighten up all of the gaps, to just shorten it for time, because we only have a couple hours and I want to try to fit everything in and move everything really quickly. But I did not do that on this clip, just so I can show and just so you can hear the pauses. And of course we know the president speaks in a really slow and articulate, definitive kind of delivery, and that's good. It's a huge improvement from his predecessor, right? But it kind of simulates almost a certain president may be lying about relations with a certain intern. Dude, I saw this when he gave his speech, and I thought to myself, I'm familiar with Obama's cadence. Everyone makes fun of his cadence. It's anybody who does impressions of him, and this was not his cadence. He didn't speak in his normal tone. He was bumbling and umming and awing an awful lot. Normally he just pauses and is quiet, or might say but he was
Like I was watching him going, this guy is lying and squirming like he's just on the hot seat. It was just a remarkable change from his very charismatic speeches that you're used to hearing from him.
And this clip is about 1:15 long, and pay extra attention to the last 30 seconds of the clip. Here we go.
I came in with a healthy skepticism about these programs. My team evaluated them. We scrubbed them thoroughly. We actually expanded some of the oversight, increased some of the safeguards. But my assessment and my team's assessment was that they help us prevent terrorist attacks. You can't have 100% security and also then have 100% privacy and zero inconvenience. We're going to have to make some choices as a society. And what I can say is that in evaluating these programs, they make a difference in our capacity to anticipate and prevent possible terrorist activity. In the abstract, you can complain about Big Brother and how this is a potential, program run amok. But when you actually look at the details, then I think we've struck the right balance.
Just a little bit different than a few years ago when it sounded more like this.
This administration also puts forward a false choice between the liberties we cherish and the security we provide. I will provide our intelligence and law enforcement agencies with the tools they need to track and take out the terrorists without undermining our Constitution and our freedom. That means no more illegal wiretapping of American citizens. No more national security letters to spy on citizens who are not suspected of a crime. No more tracking citizens who do nothing more than protest a misguided war. No more ignoring the law when it is inconvenient.
You get the point. I didn't mean to cut you off, bud. What were you going to say?
No, that was it. I mean, you just did it for me. You just put the juxtaposition to see how incredibly articulate. Now, granted, he's probably reading a teleprompter or he's got that speech memorized.
Sure.
Versus an impromptu press conference or what have you.
One other outlet that's really honest with us always is the Real News Network, realnews.com and therealnews.com, and they had on Larry Wilkerson. Scott, what was his title again? He was
He was Chief of Staff to Secretary of Defense Colin Powell.
Okay.
Or was the Secretary of State Colin Powell? I can't remember. Secretary of State Colin Powell. That's right. Yeah, he was Colin Powell's Chief of Staff. He's a decorated war veteran.
Okay. Yeah. Larry Wilkerson.
And he worked for Reagan.
Okay. Larry Wilkerson had this to say about what we just heard the president say on the Real News Network just recently.
Well, he's right, but he's disingenuous in his correctness. I've been on the Liberty and Security Subcommittee of the Constitution Project for over a couple of years, and we've looked at this very, very closely. And you make statements like that. I hope the president knows that he's making that statement very ambiguously, because he said, and you parse his words as you parse Bill Clinton's words about a certain intern, and you find out he said that they're not listening to American phone calls, not listening to American traffic over the communications networks, not reading emails even. That's probably true. What they're doing is gathering all this so-called metadata, storing it, and then applying algorithms to it, the length and breadth and specifics of which we have no way of knowing, and extracting data when and if the algorithm tells them it needs extracting. So he's right. They're not listening to phone calls, but they're storing those phone calls, and they might listen to them in the future. And is there probable cause? Is there reasonable suspicion? Even more so, is there a warrant to do that? No. In most cases, they just do it.
Nope. In most cases, they just do it.
Right. This is what we've always known. And I remember my father 20 years ago saying, don't ever put anything in writing that you don't want on the front page of the Times or the front page of the paper, whatever it may be.
Sure.
And that's the same. That don't put it in writing now applies to text messages, audio on phone calls, anything you do on the computer, anything.
Email.
Yeah, because
Facebook,
where do you
your
hear that?
Facebook, your
Where do you hear
Twitter,
that?
you know it. You know it. Yeah.
Yeah, all that. That's the PowerPoint presentation that he leaked last week that you can look up. There's a link to it on our Facebook page, and where they just show, you know, in a timeline how they got Google to agree, they got Yahoo to agree, they got Skype to agree. So Skype, by the way, too, everything's being recorded as well.
Right.
You know, so everything, and so it's really just remarkable.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is, it's not that they're going to use it, but it's there for. You know, as a repository, so that when they run the algorithm, you know,
Yep.
patterns of communication patterns or whatever,
Ping.
and they go, oh my God, Skeptical Scott's talking to Jacob Dean every Monday from 7 to 9. What are they conspiring to do, right?
Well, there you
let's
go.
find out.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's like, and so you know, and who listens to them, and what do those people do, and who do they talk to, and blah 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 blah, blah. And it runs out in this giant, you know, web, if you will, of 6 degrees of separation you get to at some point, and they go, oh. They were talking to people who were listening to talking to people and blah blah blah. The next thing you know, Kevin Bacon's under arrest. You know, it's like, come on. I mean,
Dude, that was a good one, man. That was a good one. Anyway.
It just seems so surreal and unnecessary. And God, people are starving in our country, and kids are homeless, and 40,000 deaths a year because of lack of health care and car accidents. I mean, the number one killer in the U.S. is car accidents, right? More than cancer. Right. And yet, what are we doing? Right. We got a security apparatus in place, and I say we because it's our tax dollars in place. Yeah, in place that does nothing but keep us in control. So it's this whole self-enslavement. You know, that we're feeding, and we have to stop it. I mean, we're just part of it by not doing anything.
There you go. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Where's my you the man? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Is the second part of Julian Assange today on international television, talking about how Edward Snowden is a hero, and now, I mean, coming from Julian Assange, you can understand him basically speaking to Edward Snowden. Look out, man, the retaliation is on its way.
Look, already we know that the United States government has raided Edward Snowden's relatives in Honolulu. He is in a very, very serious position because of, we can see the sort of rhetoric that has occurred against me and Bradley Manning back in 2010, 2011, has now been applied to Snowden. I have absolutely no doubt that a very serious and aggressive action will be directed against Mr. Snowden. What other countries need to do is line up to give support for him. Everyone should go to their local politicians and press and demand that they step forward and offer Mr. Snowden asylum in their country. And it will be really telling, actually, to see which countries genuinely protect human rights, genuinely protect the privacy of the public, genuinely protect asylum rights. Which countries will actually do that, or which countries are scared of the United States?
Bingo. Bingo. And then let's preface that. I have this clip just because when you turn on the news tonight, the evening network corporate news, and you hear stuff like this that I'm about to play from earlier today on ABC with George Stephanopoulos and John Carl and the bunch. Just keep in mind our show tonight, or this conversation tonight, as this whole Edward Snowden thing comes to light and moves forward. This is already the position, the stance, and the other side of the issue, right? As if we have to frame it as if there's two sides of the issue here. Here's the other side of the issue, if you will, from the corporate media.
Oh, absolutely. And you heard from the top intelligence official in the government, James Clapper, saying that this has done grave damage to our intelligence capability. So make no mistake, George, if Snowden did what he says he has done here, top officials view him not as a hero, but as a criminal. You can expect them to seek extradition. You can expect them to fully prosecute.
That's right. The first question is going to be, what do they charge him with? They're going to throw the book at him. The question is going to be, how heavy is that book?
Remember that Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, who says this has done grave damage. For me, it is literally, not figuratively, literally gut-wrenching to see this happen because of the huge grave damage it does to our intelligence capabilities. That same James Clapper 3 months ago, who said this to Senator Ron Wyden.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly.
Yes, that same James Clapper. There you go.